You're listening to Bizarre Buffet, a podcast of all-you-can-eat weird. I'm your host, Mark Torriello.
I'm Jen Wilson.
And I'm Mark Bluestein.
There'll be food and drink and ghosts, and perhaps even a few murders. You're all invited.
When we first went in, one of the people said, "Who are you?" And Tex said, "I'm the devil, and I'm here to do the devil's business."
Hey everybody, happy 100th episode of Bizarre Buffet.
Hi, can you believe it? 100. 3 numbers. How horny.
I'm so jazzed.
I know.
Did you ever think we would make it?
I mean, honestly, I felt it was a toss-up, really. Who knows?
We came a long way since our very first episode.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
My favorite cult.
My favorite cult.
My favorite cult.
Uh-huh.
Like, I
on
think
our phones, on our cell phones.
on our cell phones, and it was like, it was such a bizarre time.
It
and
was.
I think that we are truly like the offspring of COVID.
Yeah.
Bizarre Buffet
We
is.
are COVID offspring.
COVID royalty.
Because you know what? I think a lot of people started doing podcasts in the middle of the pandemic to be like,
Yeah.
I'm bored, let's do something fun.
Yeah.
And like, how many people can actually say that they're still going with their podcasts?
I don't think many of them can. I
No.
know.
And I think for us, we were bored, but also we were like, we want to change our lives.
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
looking for something different. Like, you know, Jen has been involved in entertainment in like one capacity or another for a very long time.
Sure enough.
You know, like Mark and I enjoy it. We're people who are creative types, you know, so all 3 of us, it made sense. So I feel like the longevity, like it made sense for the 3 of us who all have an appreciation for like,
Yeah.
you know,
I agree
artful
with that.
things.
Okay, let me just ask.
Yeah.
What's everyone's favorite episode?
One of my most memorable ones of us recording was the vending machine dress.
Insert episode
Yeah.
artwork for YouTube. Yes.
Yeah.
That was a really fun one.
Like, I think all 3 of us like peed ourselves just a little bit.
We
Yeah.
were like actually crying actual
During
tears
that, yeah.
recording that. We have some really good unseen footage.
Yeah, on Patreon,
On
we
Patreon.
do. Absolutely. I think for me, and it's not because it's my episode, but because I think it was the first time that I implemented like being like, here, Jen, you read this from like my episode was Butcher Brown.
Oh my
Yeah.
Yeah, because for me that was fucking hysterical having Jen read, because Jen is theater actor, like she's been doing this for a very long fucking time. It's not her first time at the rodeo. So I was like, here, Jen, you will do this the justice that it needs. And like, and so the segments of Jen reading like the essentially like reviews for this fucked up surgeon made me laugh so much. So I loved that a lot. So that was a fun recording
Yeah.
moment for me.
The vending machine one, that's the one I always go
Yeah.
back to. Like, literal tears were shed
Oh, yeah.
from laughing so hard.
Yeah. What's a fun recording moment for you, Mark?
I think one of my favorite recording moments was when we did the arsenic dresses.
Oh, that was
Because Jen,
It's very technical too.
well, that we had the green filter that
Yeah.
gives everyone a headache.
Yeah.
It gave me a headache.
Yeah.
But also, Jen, when you were like, look at my glove.
Look at my gloves, you paw. Yeah. All of our
was so
moments,
funny.
our favorite moments recording relate to Jen.
Yeah.
You are beloved.
Arsenic dress was a lot of fun. But I feel like every single episode that we've done is truly a masterpiece.
Oh,
Yeah.
it is.
And we really cover like a wide
Absolutely.
variety. And we've
And
had
I
guest
always
stars.
get like nothing but positive reviews back from people who actually listen to our episodes.
I know, and it's so nice. Like I remember one of our early episodes, A Lesson in BDSM with Mr. Dark. That was an
Yes.
episode that we really were not certain of.
Yeah.
And then we won't name the person, obviously, but someone had reached out and they were like, oh my God, like this really made me feel comfortable sharing this
Yeah.
aspect of
And
my
in
life.
that episode, it was like I think our second or third episode, and we had a guest star who was like a BDSM educator and,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and master.
The first
arts.
BDSM educational center.
Yeah.
Mr. Dark.
In Las Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Las Vegas.
Yep.
Yeah. I didn't think we would get the response that we did from that
Yeah, we
so
got
early.
some
Definitely.
really positive
Yeah.
feedback just early from that.
Yeah. If you guys like our interviews, let us know, because we're planning on getting more interviews for you.
I just can't believe it. It's our 100th episode, and you're the one that's doing the episode. You never do an episode.
I know. It's really a rare occurrence. And, you know, I just felt like I have this story. There are certain topics that stick out to me. And I'm like, I don't know. I guess I'll share this.
All right.
Since I do them so infrequently. So
let's do it.
Yeah.
We're going to start with a question.
Of course.
And my question tonight is, what's something that you lost and never recovered?
My virginity?
Yeah. Okay. I don't...
My sanity?
Yeah, same. Absolutely.
I would have to second that, my sanity.
Yeah, I agree. I would agree with that as well.
But I did have this ring that I used to wear like on my thumb when I was like in high school, and it had elephants with like hearts, like their trunks were touching, and they had like hearts in the middle. And I'm pretty sure I lost it in the ocean. Not when I got rescued by lifeguards, a completely different time.
The sexy lifeguard experience.
Yeah, that horrible, like, sexy lifeguard experience. It was a different time, but I never got it back. I never found it, and I was really bummed because I really liked that piece of jewelry.
What about you? Did you lose anything?
Did I lose anything that I never recovered? A normal family life.
Yeah. There you go. You heard it here at Bizarre Buffet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Keeping it relatable 100% of the time.
And if you have family trauma,
let us know.
But
let us know.
Don't emotionally dump on us.
Yeah, like our last episode said.
Don't do that.
I was just sharing a story, but it wasn't an invitation to dump on all of us. We have our own shit.
We do.
But also, you know, be cute about it if you want to. Approach us, like, you know, in a cute, nice way.
Yep.
All right. So, should I bring you all where I want to go?
Yeah, where are we going tonight?
All right. So, tonight I'm bringing you all to the village of Fingringho.
Fingringho?
Fingringho.
Fingringho. Literally Fingringhoe.
Okay.
Fingringho.
Yeah, Fingringho.
Where's Fingringho?
It's located in Essex, in England.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's where the actress Ada Constance Kent lives in the 30s, though, the 1930s.
Oh.
Yeah.
So we're going to the 1930s?
We're going to the 1930s in England.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
We're going to England.
We're going to England in the 30s, we are, yeah.
Oh, you don't say. I have a cigarette on a stick.
Yes. I got a cigarette on a stick. So this story is about Ada. All right, you ready?
Ada.
Ada, A-D-A.
Okay.
Have you guys heard of her?
Nope.
Ada Kent, you said?
Yeah, K-E-N-T.
No, I never have.
All right, well, let's start. So Ada Constance Kent was an actress who was born in England around 1880. Her actual birth year is kind of like, nobody knows for sure. This is not official. 1880-ish. She spent most of her time working in the theater of London's West End. Ada also briefly transitioned into film around the 1930s. So by the 30s, she was like, I'm tired of doing theater. So now she's getting into film. But this is Bizarre Buffet, after all, and I'm really not interested in describing silent films to everyone. So
we could just act one out ourselves if we really wanted to.
we really could. So, like, regardless, Ada became way more famous for something that had nothing to do with her acting.
Oh.
And we're about to get into that story.
Okay.
I hope it's salacious.
Oh, it is.
Is Charlie Chaplin involved?
Oh my God, he might be with his little Hitler mustache. Can I say Hitler mustache?
Sure can.
You know,
Why not?
I actually was like years old when I learned that Charlie Chaplin was actually British.
Really?
Oh.
He's actually English. Yeah.
I don't know that.
And I
He was grave robbed too.
I was about to
He
say.
was grave robbed.
Yeah. After Ada gave her film career a go during the 1930s and failing to land any major roles, she was over it.
I would be too.
Yeah, absolutely. By that point in time, you were born in the 1880s, then like by the 1930s, and like, if this isn't fucking happening, I'm done.
And we went from hoop skirts to pencil skirts.
Yeah, exactly. There were fashion changes.
We were starting to show off our legs a little too.
Yeah, absolutely. A little ankle action, a little leg action. Ooh, girl about town. She announced that she was retiring by the 30s. She was like, you know what? I'm done.
How old was she then?
50?
Probably, yeah, she was probably in her 50s.
Oh.
Yeah. It's at this point in time that Ada decided to move to the small village with the terrible name Fingringho that we just
Fingringho.
discussed. So now Ada was a bit reclusive. She kept to herself. She didn't really socialize with anyone in the village at all. She was rarely seen in that nasty little fingering hole village. Like nobody ever really saw.
Did you say fingering hole?
I can't. Fingering Hole Village.
No, I thought you said fingering hole.
I think I did, but
It's okay.
Yeah.
because it's Bizarre Buffet. So, because of Ada's past as an actor combined with her elusive nature, it just made everyone in the village so much more infatuated with her. Because they were like, oh God, so she's an actor, but she doesn't want to talk to anybody. She was a very, I don't know, mysterious person.
Mysterious young woman.
She was intriguing.
Yeah, exactly. But despite all of the intrigue with her, it wasn't until Ada inexplicably disappeared from the face of the earth that her nosy ass neighbors became truly interested in her. Because one day she just up and vanished.
From the village?
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to fast forward to late March of 1939.
1939.
My favorite fucking year.
Mine too.
Oh, God, I was doing so many horny things. Ada was living her reclusive lifestyle fantasy. All was well. That is until a handyman showed up at Ada's house. He banged on the door, and then nothing. No one answered.
Oh, maybe she's dead.
Oh, maybe. A guard.
Fake her death?
Well, we're gonna have to wait and find out. Jen's always trying to crack the case, which
sorry.
on 100 fucking episodes, she's always cracking these
I'm
cases.
sorry.
But it's so a gardener named Reuben G. Winkle. What a great name.
Fingering hoe and Ruben.
G. Winkle. Are
Winkle.
these people sound like, I don't know, Scooby-Doo characters or something?
Or like some weird Grimm's fairy tale. Like, isn't there Rip Van Winkle?
Yes, yes, exactly. It sounds very ridiculous, but let's call him Reuben. Reuben claimed to have spotted her bedroom light on the previous night. So initially, no one was really concerned because they were like, this crazy recluse, she's in her house, it's fine, her light is on,
Yeah.
Ada was also known for wandering off for long periods of time. So everyone was pretty much like, oh, well, that's Ada.
How long are we talking? Days at a time?
Probably weeks.
Oh.
Yeah, so a few weeks at a time, she would just up and vanish and no one would see her. So it wasn't so out of the ordinary.
Interesting.
But we're going to go about 3 months later from that point where they were like, oh, okay, she's not here, but we don't know really where she is. So 3 months later, a friend of Ada's went to visit her in the old village of Fingringho. Still no Ada. She wasn't there. It's at this point that Ada Constance is finally declared as a missing person. So it took all of this fucking time just to be like, this bitch is missing. She ain't here.
Yep.
Fucking Ada Kent.
Ada Kent.
What are you doing with yourself?
What is she doing? 2 constables had gone to Ada's home.
Constables.
Yes, which is...
What's a
The
constable?
police officer.
Yeah, so because we're in ye old
We're
England.
in the old England.
Yeah.
The Bobbies, as they call them.
Yeah, the Bobbies, yeah. So 2 cops essentially went to Ada's home to investigate, and they found that the door had been left unlocked. A dinner tray with a fully prepared meal was on the kitchen table, and an open copy of Romeo and Juliet was on an armchair. So it
Was the
seemed...
fire going?
What's the fire? God. All they need to add is fire to this story, right?
Was there a fireplace going?
Was there It sounds like there would have been, right? But aside from all this, they noted that her coat was also still on the coat rack. So whatever was happening, it seemed like she left in a hurry because there wasn't anything that looked like that was fucked up or somebody broke in or kidnapped her. It all just seemed very normal.
Right.
You're having dinner and then you decide to go outside for some reason, At this point in time, I want to take you guys about 3 years forward from
All right.
them going in.
Okay.
And
So we're
invest-
in 1942.
Yeah, around about. No one has seen or heard from Ada. Still. Nothing.
And it's been 3 years.
Yeah. A concerned
3 whole years.
3 fucking years. So 3 years later, another concerned friend by the name of George Wicknell, he was like, you know what? I'm going to go to her cottage. I want to check it out. I want to take a look for myself, see what's going on, see if he can find a trace of her. Yet again, nothing was found. Nothing at all. And that's 3 years later. Now I'm going to bring you all a little bit further, okay? This is 9 years.
9 years later?
9 years later. We're here. It's 9 years later. Everything pretty much stayed quiet for 9 long fucking years regarding the case of Ada Constance. Still no leads, nothing. Until Ada's bank manager noticed something unusual. So the place where she was banking, there was an unusual thing going on.
Is there a weird transaction?
Yes. So here's the deal. Since Ada was considered missing and not dead, all of her accounts remained open. So for nearly a decade, not one single transaction had taken place on her account. But that is, of course, until September of 1948. So almost like a decade later, there are now transactions on her account.
Was it a lot of transactions?
Well, it is said that someone made several large deposits into her accounts. Now, obviously, the bank manager immediately contacted the local police, and for a very brief period of time, the investigation into Ada's disappearance was then reopened because of these random bank transactions 10 years later. So, with the latest development of the random bank account deposits that appeared in her account, detectives decided to search Ada's house once again, all this time later, because it's fucking weird, and they're like, well, maybe she showed up out of nowhere.
Maybe she's hiding in a wall somewhere.
Exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. Daniel, the plan. Let's go back to that
episode. I forgot about that episode.
Right. Unlike the times before, when her house was empty / nothing seemed to have been out of place or out of the ordinary, her house wasn't empty this time.
Was she in it?
Well, we're about to find out.
Oh?
Sitting in a wooden chair in one of the front rooms of the house was a fully dressed skeleton.
Cool. Nice.
And lying next to it was an empty bottle, quite simply labeled poison.
Did she poison herself?
But remember, though, this is like almost 10 years later.
So did she put that there to like fake a death?
No skeleton was there all the previous times. There wasn't a skeleton. There wasn't anything there. There were multiple friends who went to the house. There were people who checked. There were people who rang the doorbell. Like, nothing was in the house until...
I guess the skeleton didn't answer the door.
Yeah. No.
Imagine.
I know, imagine. Hello. Yeah. At this point in time, everyone was totally horrified because they were like, what the fuck? We've searched this damn place a million times. What's going on here?
This sounds very staged.
Yeah.
Well, that's
she was an actress.
And,
Yeah.
Yep. And like a bottle that literally says poison on it.
Yeah. But I mean, it was
that a thing.
It was.
You said that the skeleton was dressed.
Yes.
What was
my
she
God.
wearing? Was it like something from the
Cover
Met
girl,
Gala?
put the base in your skeleton.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know. I didn't get the fashion details from anything. This story is also, there's very little about it out there, so you're kind of like, you're going with what little information you're given.
sense.
Oh, I love this.
Let's talk about the investigation into the skeleton. This skeleton that appeared miraculously.
Yeah.
Coroners from Scotland Yard conducted a thorough examination of the remains, and in a truly bizarre buffet twist, they noted that the skeleton was larger than Ada. Number one. Ada was a very small woman, and this random skeleton was also noted as more closely resembling a male skeleton.
So did she go to some store and just dress up a skeleton and put it in a chair?
Well, it gets more weird.
Kind of how people do that at Halloween now. Like you just decorate a skeleton on your front lawn, and some people now change it based on like the season.
Or maybe Ada was Adam.
I mean, maybe, but
Ada could have been an Adam.
Trans people have always existed.
yeah, this is very true.
I see you,
that's
trans community.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Who knows, really? So at this point, they couldn't conclusively say whether this skeleton was actually Ada or not. However, they did manage to get some hair samples from the random skeleton that appeared in her house. And apparently the hair was said to have matched Ada's, but like this is also controversial because think about the time period, and also hair identification has been kind of like deemed as junk science.
It is, I think.
Yeah.
But they didn't have like
They didn't have any
DNA.
No.
They didn't have like
No,
forensic.
Yeah, thank you. That's the word. Forensics.
Yeah, so like that's kind of like, whatever, do with that what you will. But many people at the time seemed to be not so sure of this alleged hair match, to say the least. A number of investigators seem to have the same horrifying theory, that theory being that the skeleton wasn't Ada, but if it wasn't Ada, then who would it have been?
Charlie Chaplin.
I mean, it could have been, maybe. A cause of death could never be determined with Ada, nor were the experts able to determine if the skeleton had died inside of the house or outside of it. So they weren't able to gather like what they would use today, essentially. Like, did the person die in the home? Did they not? Blah, 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 blah,
But
blah.
also the poison bottle.
Yeah.
Like, if someone was poisoned, I don't know if you'd be able to tell just by a skeleton. Right?
Probably not.
But that's the thing that's something that I had read that they mentioned was that like there was no way of telling. They wouldn't have been able to do any tests to tell if that poison bottle was actually consumed by the said skeleton.
Is there anything out there about what the skeleton was wearing? Was it wearing her clothing? Was it wearing...
I've read somewhere that it was said to have been wearing female clothing.
Okay, so it's just like a generic...
So a male skeleton in female clothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10 years later.
That resembled Ada's hair.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, that's the story of Ada Constance, the reclusive actor skeleton.
They never found her?
No, they never.
Maybe she just needed a change of pace in life and just wanted a dramatic exit, and that was her dramatic exit.
Well, and you know what? And we can get into some theories about that. I mean, some of the theories, like, it's all theories based off of people like us.
Right.
Yeah.
It's nothing that
best
is...
kind.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are the best theories.
I agree. So, some people said that maybe someone in the village knew that her home was empty. Someone who had committed a murder in the village.
That would make sense to, like, somebody wants to fuck with people.
Yeah.
And goes in and puts a skeleton in there.
Yeah. And they were, like, essentially being, like, they knew that... Like, let's say that, like, I don't know, I was a murderer and I knew that Ada Constance's house in the 1930s was empty for all this time and that, like, police activity had died down. So somebody was like, nobody's fucking going in there. I'm going to put a skeleton in there, like somebody that I killed or whatever. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that can be kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that's a little far-fetched. I think it's just a weird fucking story.
It is, but it's really cool.
Thank you.
That was a good one.
Thank you. I wanted to bring you all that story.
Well, I have my own theory.
Tell
just from
me,
this,
tell
'cause
us.
I love a theory.
Yes.
I believe that she is behind all of this.
I do too. I think
Yeah.
she's behind it.
Yeah.
And it's because there was money going into her
Yes, it
bank
wasn't
account,
being removed.
not out. It was going into and
Large
also,
deposits.
Also, she had access to the house because it was her house.
Yeah.
And she seemed kind of like not a recluse, but
Yeah,
just
they
like
called her
hippie.
that.
She was like
Yeah.
hippie dippy,
Yeah.
and she had
Yeah.
a career in entertainment with acting and theater, and then she tried film and it didn't really work out. I feel like she has this tendency of trying something and leaving it behind.
Oh,
And
that's a good call out.
So I think that with this, she was trying the simple life in a village.
Yeah.
And that wasn't really her cup of tea. So
Yeah.
she just like up and left, and
That's a good
Yeah,
point.
it is. But there is another one. So there was a pub literally across the street from her home or cottage.
Pub Fringringho.
Yeah, in the Fingringhoe. So there was a pub in Fingringhoe, and it was called like Whalebone or something. And
Of course it would.
yeah, and
I love a whalebone.
oh, I know you do.
It's so horny for a whalebone.
Don't quote me on this, everybody. I'm not claiming it to be like 100%. It was either 6 weeks or 6 months. So 6 weeks or 6 months before Ada disappeared, a local resident, there is a name on file for them. I don't remember it at the moment, but there is a name of one of her neighbors who said that they saw her in the pub about 6 weeks or 6 months.
Oh yeah, her name is Mrs. Ada's neighbor.
Yeah, exactly. Mrs. Ada's neighbor. That's right. I think that's actually their name.
Mrs. Ada's
Thank
neighbor.
you. I think that's actually on file. And they were like, she looked very, very sick. And the person basically gave a story of being like, I saw Ada speaking to the pub owner and she was like excessively coughing and seemed ill. But so I didn't include that in the full thing because I wanted it to be our conversational aspect.
It's so interesting with these types of unsolved mysteries because, like, if you like think back to like your Judy Smith episode,
We love her.
remember, like there was one theory, like somebody said they saw her like in a hotel and she was speaking in tongues.
Yes.
Like it's
yeah.
very interesting about how
Yes.
like people have different recollections of like the same person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're all completely different.
Yeah. And then some of these stories are like somebody who looked like that person and wasn't. And like you don't
Yeah.
really know, which is what a great unsolved mystery in
Yeah.
my mind is
I
about.
agree with that.
And
You know?
it sounds like this woman potentially could have had a mental breakdown
Yeah.
of sorts, but hilarious
Yeah.
that if she brought a skeleton.
I mean, all the 10 years
poison.
later, because
with a bottle of poison.
yeah, because remember, like once again, that house was checked multiple times. Like people knocked on the door, but people also went in. So just in case it wasn't entirely clear in the story, like multiple people had gone in and checked her apartment, a cottage, house,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. So it was checked multiple times, and then 10 years later, the skeleton in a dress, who may be a man, shows up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the story. I hope you guys enjoyed
I really
it.
enjoyed it. That was really good.
I hope you enjoyed our
Love
100th
it.
episode. And, you know, if you want to continue to support us to get to 200 episodes, you can go on patreon.com/Bizarre
can.
Buffet.
Yep.
You can follow us on Instagram at Bizarre Buffet, our website, bizarrebuffet.com. Facebook. Thank you.
And if you listen to us, you can actually watch our podcast.
Yes, you
on
can.
YouTube.
For those
actually
of
see
you-
our faces.
Hi.
And if
Hello.
if you watch us on YouTube, you can listen to us on any podcast platform.
Absolutely. Apple, Spotify. Please
Yeah.
leave a review for us on Apple
Positive
Podcasts.
one, not a negative one.
Positive, not a negative. That's old school Bizarre Buffet right
know,
there.
I
A
know.
positive, not a
And
negative.
if you
And 5 stars,
And
please.
5 stars, please. Yes.
And it's okay if you can't financially support us on Patreon.
Yeah, it is.
It's hard
Your comments,
times.
your reviews,
Yeah,
they help
helps.
us a lot.
That does.
Subscribing does a lot for us, so do
Yeah.
that, please.
And word of mouth. Tell your friends, tell your mother and grandmother and sister and brother or your chosen family. If you don't like your real blood family,
Or
tell
your pet-
anybody.
or your pet rock.
Or your pet rock. Tell them. Do they have a fucking iPhone or an Android? Tell them to subscribe on their phone.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do it.
So, I mean, I guess with that being said, I am the random skeleton found in Ada Constance's house.
And I am the town of Fingringhoe.
And I'm Ada Constance because I want people to talk about me.
Oh, fucking
Oh my
beautiful.
God, yes,
Wow.
of course. Keep talking about me.